Hey friends, welcome back to Irini's Corner. Today we are crocheting together the poinsettia or poinsettia plant. So let's get started. For the material, I'm gonna be crocheting using 100% cotton yarn in weight 1. I'm using both colors, green and red. For the red one, I'm using Aunt Lydia's weight 1 thread. And for the green one, because I couldn't find the same weight of yarn for the green shade that I want, I went with a weight 0 fine thread that is for the Loops and Thread brand. But I'm gonna be crocheting using 2 strands of that yarn to match the weight of the red yarn. So this is the remaining of a bobbin that I did in order to be carrying 2 strands together. And with this thread or yarn, I'm gonna be using a 1.5 millimeter hook. And then I'm gonna be using also plant wire. This pack I got it from the dollar store, and I'm gonna work around that wire to hold the leaves together. Now for the purpose of the tutorial, and because the thread is not going to show properly on camera, I'm going to be using a thicker yarn with a 2.5 millimeter hook. Now we're going to start crocheting the small leaf, and I'm starting with a slip knot and then crochet 15 chains. So for the first round, I'm gonna skip the first stitch from the hook and then work single crochet into the next 13 stitches. Then in the last stitch of the row, I'm gonna do 3 single crochet into the same stitch. Next, I'm gonna be working on the other side of the chains, and I'm gonna work a single crochet into each stitch for the next 13 stitches. After finishing the other side of the chain, I'm gonna be slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round. Now to start round number 2, I'm gonna chain 1 and then into the first 2 stitches I'm gonna do a single crochet into each, and then a half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Then in the next 2 stitches I'm doing a double crochet into each. For the next stitch, I'm doing an increase of 2 double crochet into the same stitch. Then I'm doing a double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Followed by a half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. then a single crochet for the next 3 stitches. In the next stitch, I'm doing an increase of 3 single crochet into the same stitch. Now I'm gonna be working my way back on the other side of the leaf by doing a single crochet into the first 3 stitches, followed by a half double crochet for the next 2 stitches, then a double crochet for the next 2 stitches, then I'm doing an increase for the next stitch of 2 double crochet, and then a double crochet for the next 2 stitches, then a half double for the next 2 stitches, and finishing the round with a single crochet for the last 2 stitches. And then I'm gonna slip stitch into the first stitch of the round to join. And now we are ready to start the last round of the small leaf, and this round is done around the plant wire. So I'm gonna place the wire on top of my yarn this way, and then chain 1, and then for the next 5 stitches I'm doing a single crochet into each stitch, making sure that I am working around the wire or the plant wire. Now for the next 3 stitches I'm doing an increase, so I'm working 2 single crochet stitches into each stitch. And then for the next 8 stitches I'm doing a single crochet into each. For the next stitch I'm gonna do a single crochet, followed by a picot stitch. So I'm gonna chain 2 and then go back into the single crochet stitch this way, and then do a slip stitch to finish my picot stitch. This way I get a pointy edge for my leaf. Next, I'm gonna work my way back on the other side of the leaf by doing 8 single crochet stitches. And then I'm gonna do an increase over the next three stitches, so 2 single crochet into each stitch. And then I'm finishing the round with a single crochet into the remaining 5 stitches. And before doing the last slip stitch for this round, make sure that your leaf has a flat shape. Adjust the edges and then do the slip stitch into the first stitch of the round to join. Now you can clean up any extra thread that is there or any extra yarn, and then twist the 2 sides of the wire together. And that is our small leaf. If you look at the bottom side, you're not gonna see the wire. It's all covered by our work. Okay, so that's the small leaf. Now we're ready to start the medium leaf. We're gonna start by a slip knot and we're gonna chain 19 stitches. For the first round, I'm gonna skip the first stitch from the hook and start working a single crochet into the next stitch, and I'm gonna do that for 17 stitches. After finishing 17 single crochet stitches, I have 1 stitch remaining, and in this stitch I'm gonna do 3 single crochet. So I'm doing an increase to get me to the other side of the chains. And now I'm gonna work my way back by doing 17 single crochet on the other side of the chains. At the end of the round, this is what the first round looks like, and I'm gonna do a slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Now we're gonna start round number 2 by chaining 1 and then going into the first 2 stitches and doing a single crochet into each, followed by a half double for the next 2 stitches, and then 4 double crochet stitches, 1 into each of the next 4 stitches. Then I'm gonna do an increase of 2 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. And then a double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Then add a half double crochet for the next 2 stitches, and then a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then for the next stitch I'm doing an increase of 3 single crochet into the same stitch. Now that will get us to the other side of the leaf, and I'm gonna start by doing a single crochet for the first 2 stitches, followed by 2 half double crochet, 1 into each stitch, and then a double crochet for the next 5 stitches, then an increase of 2 double crochet into the same stitch, followed by a double crochet for the next 4 stitches, then a half double for the next 2 stitches, and finishing the round with a single crochet into each of the last 2 stitches. And then we're gonna join into the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch. Now for round number 3, and round 3 is the last round for this leaf, I'm gonna be working around the wire same way as we did with the small leaf. So place the wire and then chain 1, and then for the first 5 stitches I'm gonna be working a single crochet into each, making sure that I'm working around the wire as well. Next, I'm gonna do an increase over the next 3 stitches, so 2 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And then I'm gonna do a single crochet into each of the next 12 stitches. Next, I'm gonna do a single crochet followed by a picot stitch. So chain 2 and back into the single crochet. I'm gonna insert my hook this way and then do a slip stitch. And then I'm gonna work my way back on the other side of the leaf by starting with 12 single crochet stitches. And after finishing the 12 single crochet stitches, we're gonna work an increase, so 2 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And then finish the round with a single crochet into each of the last 5 stitches. And before joining with a slip stitch, we just adjust our leaf and the wire inside it, and then we slip stitch to join the 2 ends and twist the wire, the 2 ends of the wire, the same way we did with the small leaf. And this is the final look for the medium leaf. Now to start the large leaf, I'm gonna start with a slip knot and chain 19 stitches. For the first round, I'm gonna skip the first stitch from the hook and start working a single crochet into the next 17 stitches. It's the same way we started the medium leaf. At the end of the 17 stitches, we have 1 stitch remaining, and this is where we are doing 3 single crochet into the same stitch. And then we are ready to start our way back on the other side of the chain by working a single crochet into each of the next 17 stitches. At the end of the round, slip stitch into the first stitch and then chain 1 to start working the second round. We're gonna begin by an increase, so we're doing 2 single crochet into the first stitch. Then we're doing an increase into the next stitch using half doubles. So I'm doing 2 half double crochet into the same stitch. Then an increase using double crochet. So 2 double crochet stitches into the third stitch, and then I'm gonna work 11 stitches of double crochet, 1 into each. Next, I'm gonna do a half double crochet, 1 into each of the next 2 stitches, and then a single crochet, again 1 stitch into each of the next 2 stitches. Then for the next stitch, I'm doing an increase of 3 single crochet into the same stitch. And now I'm gonna start my way back by doing a single crochet for the next 2 stitches, and then a half double for the next 2 stitches, and then 11 double crochet stitches, and then we're gonna do an increase of 2 double crochet stitches into the same stitch, followed by an increase of 2 half doubles into the same stitch, and then in the last stitch we're doing 2 single crochet stitches into the same stitch, and then we're gonna slip stitch to join. Now for round number 3, I'm gonna chain 1 and then start with an increase. So 2 single crochet into the first stitch, followed by 2 single crochet into the next stitch, followed by 2 half double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're gonna work a double crochet stitch into each of the next 6 stitches, then we're gonna do an increase of 2 double crochet into the same stitch, and then we're doing a double crochet into each of the next 8 stitches. Next, we're gonna do a half double for the next 2 stitches, and then a single crochet for the next 2 stitches, and then we're doing an increase of 3 single crochet into the same stitch, and then we're starting our way back by working a single crochet into the next 2 stitches, followed by a half double crochet for the next 2 stitches, and then we're gonna work 8 double crochet stitches. Then we're doing an increase of 2 double crochet into the same stitch, and then a double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. Then we're working 2 half double crochet into the same stitch, followed by 2 single crochet into the same stitch, and finishing with 2 single crochet into the last stitch. And we're gonna slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Now for the 4th round of the large leaf, we're gonna be working around the plant wire. So place the plant wire as shown and then chain 1, and then we are starting with 12 single crochet stitches. So a single crochet into each of the next 12 stitches. And then we are doing an increase for the next 3 stitches. So we're doing 2 single crochet into each stitch, and then we're doing a single crochet into each stitch for the next 12 stitches. Now for the next stitch, work a single crochet followed by a picot, so chain 2, and then go back into the single crochet and do a slip stitch, and then we're gonna work 12 single crochet, and then we are working an increase of 2 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, and then finish the round with a single crochet into each of the last 12 stitches. Now for my poinsettia, I made 4 small leaves, 3 of the medium, and then 6 of the large in red and 6 in green. And I started arranging them, starting with the small leaves in the center, followed by the medium, then the large, and then finishing with the green large leaves. Now to hold all the stems together, I first try to use a piece of thread, but then I found that the leaves are moving loosely, so I took a piece of yarn, thick yarn, and I used it instead of the thread to hold the stems. Now at this point you have the option of covering the stems if you wish with a green yarn or a green tape. I decided to use that green block for planting. So I grabbed the pot that I'm gonna place my poinsettia in, and I cut a block that fits the size for it, and then I trimmed the edges and placed it inside my pot. And that is the final look for my poinsettia. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. If you like it, don't forget to share it with your friends, give it a like, place a comment down in the comment section, and you can always find a written pattern on my blog and in my Ravelry store. Until next time, take care and keep crocheting.